Have you ever thought much about what makes a good book good? I don't care what level of writer you are. I don't care if you have sold 1 million copies already. And I don't care if you have not even written yet. The answers behind what makes a book good and what doesn't are pretty, I want to say, surprising. The reason I say they are surprising is because it's just surprising to me that people don't think about them very much. And I have mentioned some of these things to different writers in my classes, and sometimes people are like, oh, yeah. Hi, I'm Dada Groover with The Inspired Writer, and I am an award-winning speaker and I'm an award-winning writer. You can see the stickers on my books. I know it's a little bit cheesy, but why not? That's what I figure. And I am a co-founder of the Awaken School, where we help people become world changers. I want to put a caveat here, right from the very beginning, is that what's good is different to different people. I mean, certain writers people absolutely love that others cannot stand. There are certain genres that people don't read or don't even like. For example, I don't like horror. I don't read horror. I don't choose to, put that level of emotion in my mind. And, why horror sells, and I think I mentioned this in the video last week, the reason horror sells right now, why it's really big, is because people want to feel something. They want to feel something, so they want to be jogged in that way. Anyway, this is just an example of, genres that some people like and some people don't. Some people don't like romance novels. I have good friends that write romance and they're really good at it and people love it. And, I'm not one of those either. I know that it's going to have a happy ending. I know the girl and the guy are going to get together at the end, or the girl and the girl, or, guy and the guy, if it's gay romance, whatever. That they're going to get together at the end. There's going to be a happy ending. And there's going to be some twists and turns along the way, and they're going to seem like enemies at a certain point. And I don't mean to say that to put it down at all. I'm just saying it's not my cup of tea, and I believe everyone's like that. So what I'm going to discuss with you today, I believe, is across the board. Whether it's, applies to something that you would normally like or not, but you can apply this to your own writing, and I think it's very important. So first of all, as I've mentioned in previous videos, the concept that there's actually two things. There's the content and there is the writing itself. And I don't care if you're writing nonfiction, memoir, or fiction, those are going to be two separate things. And a lot of people kind of combine them into one when they think, oh yeah, writing, what's a good writer? And I just want to tell you right now that it is a misconception. It's a fairly big misconception because, in other words, putting them together, because they're very separate things. So there are, according to the genre, the writing may be more or less important. For example, in literary fiction, the writing is paramount. The writing is the most important thing. The skillful use of clever words. Yeah, people just love to read that. And again, literary fiction is not my genre either. It's just not my favorite genre. It's not. Neither is action. Right? So these are things like awesome. They're great for some people. And I read them all. By the way, I read all genres. And I have favorites. And in those examples that I've given you, when I've said that's not my genre, I've read amazingly good things that I absolutely loved. Right? But they're just not my preferred genre. So within each of those, right, the writing can be really good. So talking about literary fiction, the writing is paramount. The writing is actually more important than the content as a rule. An example I can think of right at the top of my head is All the Light We Cannot See. And that is an example of literary fiction. So it's really well written, and in the sense that it's, uses language in a certain way that's, it's literary fiction. And the content is right there with it. And the content is just, I think, stunning. And I've read quite a bit of literary fiction where I just could not get through it. I started it, and it's like, okay. A lot of the Pulitzer Prize winners, people say, yeah, that's the best book. No, it's the best, generally, it's the best literary fiction book of the year. That's generally what gets a Pulitzer Prize for fiction. Anyway, I'm digressing a little bit, but the point I'm trying to make is you have the two different things. You have the writing and you have the content of the writing, the content of the book. So that is a very important thing to understand, first of all, because when you say what makes a book good and you just look at the writing, well, if the writing is good, it's going to keep people going. If the content is amazing, incredible, wonderful content and the writing is bad, your book won't go anywhere. That's my prediction. It just won't. If the writing is excellent and the content is just so-so or poor, it can still go somewhere. People will read it, and even if they're not reading literary fiction, they may keep going with it. But what I believe, and this is what I'm getting down to here, is that what I believe makes a book or a movie really good is the ability to give someone a takeaway. And that is what people want. They want to feel something. They want to learn something. When you can show someone a higher part of themselves through what you write, that's just perfect. And again, nonfiction, memoir, fiction, they can all do it. Movies can do that. I believe people's favorite movies are the ones that, yes, that makes them feel, right? Because people want to feel. I'm just telling you, people are going to call something good if they feel something and that they have a takeaway. So those, I would say, are the two biggest things. And it's important to look at your content and your writing separately. It's very important to do that, to see how they are achieving those things. So that's my humble opinion for this week. And if you look at it that way, right, look at it as two different things, your writing and also your content, look at them separately and look, what are you giving people? Are you letting them feel? Are you helping them feel with your book? And like I said before, I'm not a horror fan. Horror goes too extreme for me that way. Like, here's like something that we're really going to make people feel. And people go away thinking, well, that was really good because they really, really felt. Now, for me, that doesn't make something good because something makes you feel. I think having somebody feel something is a part of what goes into good. I really do think so. I want people to identify with my characters. When the character goes through something, I want the reader to feel something around it. That's very important to me. And I believe that's one of the things that makes a book good. And I say book, but it applies to all kinds of writing. If you can write an email that makes people feel, it's going to be more effective. How many people think about their emails in terms of how it makes people feel? I don't think people think about that very much, but I believe it can make an email much more effective. And the same principle is there as is there with the books. What I believe makes something good is you let people feel something and you give them the takeaway that they are looking for. Different people are looking for different things, and that might vary according to genre. It might vary according to how-to nonfiction. People are going to read how-to nonfiction because they want to learn something. They want to get something. They want to figure out how to solve a problem. There's, just quite a myriad of ways that they may want to get something from that book. If you also give them feeling through that, like you're telling some anecdote about something that happened to you or a friend or something, putting stories into how-to nonfiction is really powerful. If you can also give them something to feel and you give them something about themselves, like they might be, for example, reading a book about whatever, van life. They might be reading a book you wrote a book about van life, and in that book, you're telling these little stories, and you mention in the stories about how you overcame a certain thing, and you have a little bit of a character arc, and you overcame this and whatever it was. and then people can take that back and apply it to their own lives. They might have been looking specifically for how to convert their Mercedes Sprinter van into something that they can spend weekends in. They may not have been looking for something, but you give them something extra, that is going to make your book good and better than they expected, especially if you give them what they came for, what they wanted, and also what they needed. And this is true with fiction. This is true with memoir. They might be reading it for one reason, and if you give them something else, it's going to be better. And the same thing, like I said before, make them feel, give them something to feel. They will love your book for it, and they may love you for it too. This is Dutta Groover. Thank you very much for being here with me today. Please do click that subscribe button and ring that little bell, and you'll be notified when my videos come out, and I will see you next week.